Hello, fellow alchemists. Welcome back to our little series. Again, recently, actually just this morning, I recorded a new elixirmix video, and one of the guests we had on was introducing us to his library. And initially, I kind of blew it off because I thought maybe this was, not so interesting. But I sat and, of course, and listened to him talk and listened to him explain his reasoning behind it. And I thought, okay, this is quite interesting. And so this library is called Dotenvy. It's all about, of course, using the dotfiles, so .env. But the interesting part about this is that it does a lot more than just read in .env files and just kind of set up your environment. And I'm going to show you a little bit more about what I think is quite interesting about it. So let's go ahead and let's take a look. So what I actually already did already is I went ahead and added .env to the project. I did a mixteps git. And all I did now is create a config folder. And this is kind of the interesting part, is I'm only going to create runtime exs. With this, you can just, of course, import your config file. And then you can import .env. Now with these two files, what you can do is now you can automatically tell to source the .env file. Now in my .env file over here, I went ahead and created these two things. So one is an integer and one is an atom. But with environment files, what you can do is you only get a string, and you actually have to convert that yourself. Now with this one, what you can do, so I can go ahead and set up a config for app. And I can say, we have an integer, and that one's just going to be, they have these end kind of bang things. And it's going to be test integer. And I have to say what type for it to be. And then, of course, we have atom. And then we can do this, where we can say text atom. And then we can say it's an atom. Now, with that, I can go ahead and run my app. And then I can say application.get all env. And then you can see the cool part about this is that they automatically will convert everything over for me. So I thought this is really interesting. Other things that you can do too is that you can say, so we can say like a maybe atom. And in this one, I can just make up something, so random. And I can say, okay, maybe this is going to be an atom or not. It just depends on if it's actually set. And if I actually set this, as you see, it's actually not set. That's why it actually will bang off. But what you can do, what you should be able to do at least, is that if it's actually not set, what you actually can do is you can just say something like this. Just basically, you can just set the value. And then now if I run it, it'll come up, but that'll actually be a nil. When I run this. So it'll actually convert it for you. So if it's not set, it'll just convert to a nil value. If it is set to something, I believe if you do it something like this, with, I think if you do something like this, it'll actually force it to be an empty string. So what we can do is we can do a similar thing again. I'm sorry, it has to be non-empty. That's what this part means. But yeah, if you do it like this, then it should just come up as a string, empty string. So get all env. So it comes up as empty string. So it depends on kind of what you want to do, right? As you can see, I'm still kind of working my way around this library. The other thing it also has too, which is kind of interesting, is the existing atom. So you can say not only just convert it as an atom, you can say convert this as an existing atom, so the atom cannot just be created out of nowhere. So I thought that's also kind of cool. Another really cool thing, which is the last thing I want to show you, is that you did see, of course I imported config. I'm using config over here. The other thing you can do is you can now do this. You can say, okay, import .env, but then you can also import .env, and also, again, this is kind of all up to you as long as you just name the name of the file, the config environment. So I have over here a .env.test, and you see this will actually change the values. So now, if I use mixenv set to test, and now I try to load up my environment, what will actually happen is you'll see now I have slightly different values, right? So my atom changed to error, and my integer changed to 2. And of course, this one stays the same because it's only defined in the very first value. So you see this one's only defined over here, but over here, I define new values, and those get overridden. So that to me is really, really interesting and really cool. So, I mean, if you like to work with .env files, this is definitely, I think, very interesting and definitely a way that you can consider to go into. You know, all you need is just the runtime.exs. You don't need to have config.exs. You don't need the test, dev, etc. You can just have all of your dependencies all defined with .env files. Which, like I said, if something that you kind of came over from like Node or whatever, it's kind of an easy way to get your team up and going with Elixir, and you could just kind of start going this way. There's a lot more features that they have. Listen to the podcast. He does go into what he does with it. So it's quite cool. Yeah, I think this may be something I may consider for my next project. I don't know. I'm still kind of getting used to it. So, but yeah, so far I like the fact that you can change strings into integers and atoms and this kind of thing. So yeah. So this is Alan from Plangora. Please subscribe if you haven't. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks.
Plangora.